Welcome to Speak Out Charlotte. I'm your host, Jim Puckett. Thanks for joining us tonight. We get together every Tuesday night to talk with people who are involved in Charlotte-Mecklenburg region to talk about the challenges we have, the opportunities we have, and any general information that we think will make your life and you a better informed person.
Good evening. Welcome to Speak Out Charlotte. Don't adjust your TV sets. Jim Puckett, your regular host, did not shave and suddenly get younger and handsomer. It's Wayne Powers with you, your guest host this evening, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad you're aboard. You know, you need only open a newspaper, switch on the TV, radio, turn on the computer, and go on the internet to find a lot of bad news out there, whether it's car crashes and violence or hatred and anger, division, us and them, all the bad stuff that we hear on a daily basis and we're sort of inundated with. So when we get an opportunity to reach out in the community and find one of the many stories, and you really don't have to look very hard, but in the media you normally do, but you just go out there and you find some people that are actually trying to do some good work in the community, and it's a delight and a pleasure to bring them on and share them with you. And I have one such person with us today. It's my guest, Ms. Jeannie Wray. Welcome to Speak Out Charlotte, Jeannie.
Thank you, Wayne. I'm delighted to be here.
And I want you to talk about the reason we have you here. You started an organization. You launched this organization, did you not?
No.
You didn't?
No, Room at the Inn is a charity that has been operating in the Charlotte region since 1994.
Right.
I am only in my 7th year there. I came there in '06.
Oh, well, terrific. Well,
right.
Again, it's Room at the Inn.
Room at the Inn.
And tell us, you know, we know the biblical story reference of what Room at the Inn means, but tell us what it is that you folks do at Room at the Inn.
Room at the Inn provides emotional and material support to single pregnant women in need. And we do that through both outreach programming, where the young women come in and they have life skills programs and those kinds of things on site at our building. And we also have a residential program, and I think that's probably what we're here to talk most about today. We have a new residential facility in Belmont.
Now, that's where you do your work, or are you with the larger organization?
I work on at both sites. We have a very small staff. We're a staff of 11, and our residential staff has to accommodate our clients 24/7. So we have 7 residential staff. We have 2 in the outreach program, and then the rest of us are in the office, fundraising.
So let me get this straight. You physical facilities, you actually have 2 facilities?
We have 2 sites now.
One is a residential, and one is the original office.
Correct.
And that's where you do your
And
other
it started out as a residential program.
I see.
Yes.
So then you got away from that somehow.
As time went on, and regulations, housing regulations changed and all of that, the state decided that the house that we were using could no longer be used to accommodate pregnant women, and so in a residential situation.
Right.
And the changes that we would have to make were going to be really expensive, and that was in 2004. And so our board took that opportunity to take a step back. The state allowed us to keep the ladies that we had until the babies were born and they were ready to transition out, but we did not admit any new residents at that point. And the board took a step back and they decided to look at all the maternity services in the area that targeted pregnant women in need, who was doing what they were doing specifically, who they were serving, how they were serving, and how we fit into that picture. And what they discovered at that point, Wayne, was that in the state of North Carolina there were 14 maternity homes, and not a single one, ours included, none of them targeted pregnant college women.
I wonder why.
Well,
you would think that'd be a no-brainer because, you know, again, we're dealing at a time right now, as you well know, Jeannie, that, you know, we deal with a lot of pregnant high school women.
Exactly.
You know, so college women, I guess, maybe are late. Is there an age range that you do or don't deal with? Do you limit yourself to some age range at the home?
We do. Our clients are 18 years and older, And the reason for that is if they're under 18, then they're considered in the minority, and as in minority age, and you involve parents in decisions, and there are all kinds of additional regulations to care for children who have children.
So, all right, so give me an idea of how your whole system works. First of all, where does your funding come from?
We raise every penny individually. We have support from area churches, from individuals, from some granting foundations. So we have to work very hard to raise the money that we have no government funding.
So there's no government funding. So, but organizationally, there are some churches and religious backing that you do get from some of the churches in the area, or
individual churches
in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
Sure.
Nationally.
Oh no, not. And it's only recently that our program has attracted national attention. When the board did that survey in '04, and they discovered that no one was serving pregnant women in need, I mean college women in need, then at that point they had to go out on a limb and say, you know, we're going to take this on. Nobody else is doing it. They have very special needs. We're going to take this on.
So how do you get your clients? How do young women find their way to you?
Well, there are a lot of ways. First and foremost, by referrals. We get referrals from doctors, from pastors, from health departments, from the health department in the schools, in the colleges. We have our brochures out in all the regional colleges, and a lot of young women who, and we do programming at the colleges that enables the residents, you know, the residence assistants, that enables them to find out about what we do, because very often a young woman will go to her residence hall supervisor or to a friend before she goes to anyone else to get help. And so we get a lot of our referrals that way.
All right, let me get controversial on you. Obviously, this is an alternative to abortion. Obviously,
well, actually,
I would think it would be.
We think abortion is not an alternative to anything.
Well,
and so
my position is I would agree with you, but essentially it is societally, it is an alternative to abortion. It is taking women in during this time of need and a challenging time, and giving them the support they need so that they don't have to give up their future,
right,
and not be able to abandon the child.
Right.
And so let me ask you, are you getting support from the traditional women's groups that, you know, that are traditionally, historically, politically pro-choice, they call themselves? Are you getting any support from them?
We do get a little bit. Not quite as much yet, but we're hoping that as the word goes out about this program, we're hoping that we will get more support from them, because certainly, you know, no matter what your position on abortion, you can't be against women. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, people just are not against that. You can't be against children.
Well, certainly women's groups shouldn't be against women.
And you can't be against children.
Right.
So if you look at the statistics surrounding women who have had abortions, 71% of those women say that they would not have had an abortion if they thought they had any other choice. Right. 53% of those women are college-age women, and 37% of those women actually have college under their belt. So we know that a large number of those women actually are in college at the time that they make that decision, and they suffer for it all their lives. And what our board decided that they needed to do was to enable women to have, as you said, a real choice, to feel like there were emotional and material support resources where they could take advantage of that situation, where they could give birth to their child, whether they decide to parent or to allow someone else to parent. Then they can make a life choice. They can decide to give birth to that child and either move on into their future as a parent, or allow a couple who would love to have a child but cannot to adopt that child.
Jeannie, now what services specifically, a woman coming into your program in this situation, what services could she expect? Let's start with the non-residential end of the room at the inn, and see, you know, if people come to you and they don't need a place to stay, they're not looking for a residential arrangement, but they are looking for some kind of support and direction, or, you know, whatever they're looking for. What services do you provide for these women? Our
outreach program is staffed by professional social workers, and between the two staff who are in the outreach center, they have 40-something years of experience in social work and counseling. And so a woman can expect to be assigned to a group, because we do all of our programming in group settings. And we try to keep the groups below 12 so that they're really effective, and we provide all kinds of life skills. And
well, like what?
Well, things like nutrition information for pregnant women, information about gestational diabetes, information about maternity health, information about how to create a budget, information about what to do about domestic violence, because poverty promotes or aggravates violence, and all of our women in the outreach center have been exposed to that in one way or another.
So you have people, you have counselors that are specialists in domestic violence.
They do have experience in that area. And we are fortunate in that our counselors are bilingual. So part of our classes are in Spanish and part of our classes are in English.
That's great.
And so once they've signed in with a group, the groups meet every other week. They have a life skills class. If they are Spanish speaking, they get a mini English as a second language class at the end. And then we have a boutique where we have used clothing for infants, children, maternity clothing for the mothers, and some clothing for older children, because many of our clients have older children as well. And so after the class, they go and they can get 2 bags of clothing that they take with them, and they meet every other week now. And after every class, they get diapers, baby wipes, and a bag of groceries.
So the length of service
2 years.
Is 2 years.
2 years.
So it's not like, okay, here you've given birth, now we're abandoning you.
Nope.
You continue on. And
right.
so what services, now you're going to get them diapers, they're going to continue to get clothing, I'm sure, but there are also vocational services that you provide. Are there not?
We provide referrals to places where they can get their GEDs, places where they can learn skills, those kinds of things. We can't do the actual job counseling ourselves, right, but we have relationships with other places.
So there's lots of referrals.
There are,
yeah.
And we have a lot of physicians, not a lot, but we have several physicians, bless their hearts, who are willing to see our ladies and help them through this period in their lives.
So they will get medical services provided to them during this entire 2-year period?
They get referred for that,
right.
Yes.
So that's not done on premises?
No, no.
Okay.
We do not have medical staff on premises, but we can refer them to some of the clinics.
So now we're talking about the non-residential.
Correct.
Okay, now let's move on to the residential aspect of your services. And how many beds do you have? I think 34, I think I read.
We can house 34, but we have 15 beds for mothers, 15 cribs, and then we have 4 rooms that have a toddler bed also. Yeah. So we can take 4 young women who have other babies, but they must be enrolled in a college program. They have to be college to fit into our residential program.
Right. 18
years or older, in college. We prefer that they have a car so that they can get themselves back and forth to school. They go through a really strenuous interview and application process. We do drug tests, we do criminal background checks. It's for our safety and the other client's safety. Mm-hmm. Once we have done all of that and they've been accepted into our program and they have read all of our rules and regulations and agreed to abide by those, then they can move in. At that point, there It's rent-free. They get all of their food. That we do not charge them for anything. When they first move in, they pay a $250 deposit, which is a damage deposit. Other than that, they don't pay a thing for the entire 2 years that they stay with us.
And no damage, they get their deposit back.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
and we encourage them. We have volunteers who do tutoring. We encourage them to work with our residential supervisors to establish personal goals, educational goals. Once a week they meet with her and she looks at where are they, what have they accomplished, what changes do they need to make in order to be able to get where they need to go. So it's very, very involved. We also provide, we have Bible study once a week. We require that they come to Bible study. And we provide life skills classes, cooking, interviewing, resume writing, all of the other classes, child discipline, Christian relationships, building, all kinds of programs. And then if they are determined to need additional counseling other than what they get in a group setting, then we also have a counselor who works with us and will work with them on an individual basis.
So it is a Christian program.
Yes.
Is it open to all faiths? It is
Anyone.
Not. Anyone.
Anyone.
So a Jewish woman, a Muslim woman, a woman who doesn't have any faith at all is certainly as welcome as anyone else.
Certainly. Certainly.
That's interesting. And
we do also insist that they go to the church of their choice. If they don't have a church of their choice, then we help them find one, because we feel like a spiritual home is as important as a material home. Mm-hmm. And once their material security is seen to, which we take care of, once that's seen to, then it's also their responsibility to cultivate the spiritual component of their life.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking with Jeannie Wray from Room at the Inn at Belmont Abbey College, a great program for 18 years and older young college women who find themselves pregnant and are in need.
Correct.
Give me without naming a name obviously, give me a story of maybe one particular woman that maybe stands out as an experience that might allow our viewers to share in both the success and or failure or challenges of your program.
We had a young woman who was a college student. She was not in the residential program, but she was in our program for a total of probably 13 months. She came early in her pregnancy. She was wonderful. She's very goal-oriented. And she knew that she wanted to be involved in a very, very active professional life. And she was looking at an international career. But she knew that she could not do it as a single mother. And so she actually went to the abortion clinic twice. And the first time she sat there, she was in line, she just felt terribly sick, so she left. And it was after that she found us. After she talked with her, she still went back one more time. And at the point when she was sitting, she was next in line, and all of a sudden she felt the baby move. Mm-hmm. And at that point, she knew that she couldn't go through with it. And as she says, I said to myself, well, you can live, but you can't live with me. And so she made an adoption plan right then. We referred her to an adopting counselor, and she made an adoption plan, and her baby was adopted the day that he was born. And she is graduating next year, so we're so excited for both of them. Mm-hmm. Because the baby is with
success
a family
all around.
Who absolutely adores him.
Sure.
And you know, that's Unfortunately, not all of our stories are that successful.
Give me an example of some of the challenges you face in dealing with some of these women. I mean, one that maybe, you know, might have broken your heart a little bit, where you tried your best, but, you know, they were beyond your reach for some way, shape, or form.
Well, I'll tell you about, this actually is kind of the hallmark case for me, and it was one of the hardest things that I've been through since I've been with Room at the Inn. We had a young woman. Our counselors were working very steadily with her. She was in the program. You know, we knew that she was living in a very dangerous situation, and that drugs were involved. And
so you're talking about domestic violence, drugs?
Yes.
Okay.
And we begged her to leave. Her response to us was, "I don't deserve any more than this." And of course our response was, everybody deserves more than this. Unfortunately, it was in a big store and all these televisions, and the news came on, and there was the apartment complex where we knew that she lived. There was a shootout of some kind among some drug dealing kind of events, and she was killed in the crossfire.
Oh my gosh.
And the infant was in the car seat on the floor at her feet. And it just broke my heart.
Yeah. Wow. Were you able to intervene on the basis of the for the infant?
Well, at that point, social services got involved, and so the baby was, I believe, I'm not certain about this, but I believe the baby was then placed in foster care. But, you know, for her to think that she deserved no more than living in that kind of violence. And, you know, her response was, "He puts clothes on my back and food on my table. What else should I ask?"
And he's stolen your self-esteem, basically. So that's a very high price to pay for clothes on your back.
That was tragic. That's one of the reasons that we continue to do what we do.
Well, really some amazing work, Jeannie. Again, it's Room at the Inn. I want to give people you have a website up.
We do.
www, correct me if I'm wrong, rati.org, O-R-G.
Correct.
You can find out more information. I think we have a phone number which we can flash on the bottom of the screen.
Super.
So people can get in touch with you to find out, you know, if they may know of someone that might need your services, may want to find out how to connect you. You know,
right.
What's the process? Do you make the first contact? Do you wait for someone to make the first contact with you? You know, what is the process? What is the process?
But they call us. They call us, or someone calls us and says, "I know about someone who may need your help.
So you deal with.
Would you call them?" And we call.
Right. So you deal with, in some degree, interventions.
Well, we try.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so you're not designed to do that, but
right.
You're certainly willing to do that based on a recommendation.
We try to help. Whatever we need to do, we try to help. One thing that I do want to make to bring up here, we were so blessed when we took this project on. The monks of Belmont Abbey gave us the property to build our building on. And I know
and that's where your residential unit is located.
And that's where the residential building is. We're
and how long ago
adjacent
was
to
that?
Belmont. Well, they gave it to us in 2005. No. They gave it to, they promised it in 2005 if we got that far. And so in 2010, we completed that, and we launched our capital campaign in 2010. And we're very close to finishing that. The building's built, it's furnished. Our first client moves in on Tuesday.
Wow, this coming Tuesday.
Yes.
So by the time this airs, which I think will be next week, you'll probably already have clients in probably for one day.
Absolutely.
Well, this is very timely.
Yes, it is.
And so the building is paid for?
Almost.
Almost.
Very close. Very close.
Your operating expenses, obviously, I would think you're entirely, a charity, really.
Right.
So
right.
You're dependent upon individuals and organizations to help you out.
Sure.
So if people want to help you out or find out more to find out if they want to help you out, how do they do that?
The website has lots and lots of information, or they can jot down that phone number and give me a call. I'd be happy to talk with them.
Why don't you give the phone number one time?
704-525-4673, and my extension is 11.
Okay. And it's Jeannie Wray.
Jeannie Wray.
And give us a little insight into where you want to go from here? You have 34 beds. Is that it now? Are you done? Are you just going to operate this facility and that's good enough? I mean,
there's a lot of snow on this roof, Wayne. I mean, you know. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because we've had inquiries from 8 other states and 3 foreign countries wanting us to come there to build a facility there. So far, my response has been that we've got to get this one up and running, work all the bugs out. We get everything running smoothly here, then who knows where the Lord will lead us.
So you're going to have up to 34 beds in this new facility, and you open as we're sitting here. You're going to open next week, less than a week from now. As you're watching this, they're just open. So knowing that, what is your capacity? Do you have those beds already spoken for at this point?
Not all of them. We only have a few that are spoken for at this point. But like I said, it's a pretty stringent application process to get
And will
through.
you be transitioning people from your your non-residential program into the residential program?
Well, the majority of our outreach clients would not qualify for our college-based program. Most of them, many of them are not even high school graduates, and our residential program is strictly for college.
But you have access and you have referrals for people in this situation, no matter what their situation is other than that.
We can.
So we shouldn't, I don't think, I would hope that we're not steering people away from contacting you because they may not be a college student.
Right.
That, that if they're in this situation, they need some help. If you are unable to help them yourself, that you might be able to direct them somewhere where they can get help. Is that right?
We have a great referral network, and we do our level best to help anyone who calls us. We help them as much as we can. So no, just because they don't qualify for the college program doesn't mean that we can't help them in outreach. We do have a waiting list right now for outreach.
Okay. And who can, while we're on the air, we've just got less than a minute left, who can we thank besides you, Jeannie Wray, for the work that's being done over there? Because I want to be able to sort of give a little salute to the folks that are helping you in this program.
I have the most wonderful board of directors, and I have a great staff, and this is truly an inspirational place to be.
Well, we're with Jeannie Wray, Room at the Inn. My name is Wayne Powers. We thank you for tuning in and hope you'll be back with us soon right here on Speak Out Charlotte. Until that time, my friends, until that time.